How's it going, fam? Erica back with the essentials, and today we're going to talk about knife mods. Yes, modifying, customizing our knives, and why I don't believe in it anymore for myself. I know. What am I talking about? Am I crazy? Yes. But somebody got me thinking about this the other day, and I just wanted to make a video about it. So Justin over at Engineer's Perspective, he has said this a few times on his channel where basically he has a rule for himself where if he gets a stock knife from factory or whatever, or the dealer, that is perfect, he doesn't get rid of it and won't modify it really or anything. So if it comes perfect, he just keeps it as it is. He'll generally keep it in the collection, and it's kind of like a little rule that he lives by. And it got me thinking about knife mods and customization and stuff, and why I don't think, at least for now, I have any interest in doing any modifications or upgrades to my knives. So I used to be really big into putting different scales on and different thumb studs and different clips and, messing around with just making these knives my own, because a lot of times people would be like, oh, I would love the bug out so much more if it didn't have these plastic scales. Or man, the Emerson Mini A100 G10 is so grippy that it's too grippy. It's ripping up my pockets. I want to put some micarta scales on instead to smooth it out. And so in a lot of my older videos, a lot of my knives were modified and had custom scales and stuff. And, many people would say oh, I did the same thing. I put my micarta scales on, or I did a regrind or whatever, and I love the knife so much more now. Now I want to use it more. And, a lot of people say that. But I've noticed that they still won't use their knife, even though it's modified, even though now it's the perfect build, and they said that they wanted to use it more once it was customized and once it had upgraded parts. Now they would use it, but it's still not used. These knives still sit in cases and just get stared at and not touched. Why is that? Well, I think it's warranty. That's what I think the root of this is. Because if you think about it, you can get a knife like the Bug Out and get aftermarket scales for it and install them and have a knife that you love now. But the warranty is officially voided with most knives. Spyderco, Benchmade, Hogue, anything like that, any of those general production knives, if you disassemble them and put aftermarket parts on them and stuff, it voids the warranty. What does that mean? Well, if you don't have a warranty and something happens to your knife and you voided that warranty, you will not be taken care of anymore, right? That's what a voided warranty means, the warranty isn't applicable anymore. You can't get your knife fixed. So why would we use our knives if they can't get fixed? Do we love them more now that they look better, feel better? Of course. But if something happens to that knife in use, we can't get it fixed anymore because we customized it and made it our own, and that's not allowed. So I think that's the reason people spend so much money upgrading these knives and then still don't use them. Even though they said they would like it much better, they still don't use them, because now if you do and something goes south, you aren't taken care of anymore. They won't fix your knife for you. You avoided that warranty. So where do we go from here? What do we do? How do we make ourselves happy? For me, I had to stop modifying my knives. Granted, I used them whether they were modded or not, whether they had a warranty or not, but I have realized that I do like the idea of just buying a stock knife, using it until it breaks, and having a full possibility of just sending it back and getting it fixed, no questions asked, right? If you do not like that idea, if you feel like you just have to modify your knives, I will say Emerson does allow you to modify knives and they're still under warranty. So a lot of people like to speak poorly about Emerson's because they're so thick and they're chisel ground and they're not pretty. But something that a lot of people don't know about Emerson's is you're allowed to take these apart, you're allowed to modify them, and it still falls under warranty, which is fantastic. So they even sell aftermarket parts, or not aftermarket, but they sell parts on their site, and they have scales and everything. But you can even buy scales from another maker, like when the Shutter Doug used to make scales for Emerson's. Emerson knew that Doug was doing that. They even marketed his scales, and you were allowed to change your scales out for Doug's scales. But if something happened to your knife, you could still send it into Emerson and they would still take care of you, even though you messed around with the knife and took it apart and put scales not from Emerson on it, which is really cool. So I think it's great when companies allow you to make a purchase. They allow this to be your piece of property now. You're allowed to do what you want to your piece of property, but you can still send it back to them to get fixed if it needs to get fixed. I really like that, and that's why I stand by Emerson so much, because for instance, see, I stonewashed this blade. It has had micarta scales on it from the Shutter Doug. It has had aftermarket discs and clips and all that stuff, and if this breaks or if something happens to it, I can still send it into Emerson and they will take care of me. I really like that. But I do think that we have an addiction to always wanting more, and it's never good enough, and it still, at the end of the day, does not please us. Because I really have seen people say, that they would like the knife much better and use it more if they had different scales, and then they get the different scales and they still don't use the knife because now they realize it's out of warranty, and if they use it, they can't send it in to get fixed, right? So it's this never-ending cycle of just not using the tools that we buy. Not only that, but the bug out now is $170. And then a set of scales for this would be what, at least $60? So you're putting almost $300 into a knife to make it look aesthetically pleasing, and you still can't use the $300 knife because now you've voided the warranty and you can't get it fixed if something happens. So why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we have this obsession with buying and upgrading and then still not using them, and just it's a vicious never-ending cycle. So for me, I've just stopped upgrading and customizing my knives. I want a few models that I really enjoy. They have to, stay stock. Maybe throw a clip on there because you can just put the old clip back on when you have to send it in, right? But other than that, no scale swaps anymore. I just kind of keep them as they are, use them as they are. That way, if and when it breaks, I can literally just throw it in a box and send it back and get it fixed, especially with the Spydercos. I have a Delica here, and I just, I'm never gonna do anything to this because I want to be able to send this in to get fixed if something happens to it. And with Spyderco, I think the only thing you're allowed to do with them is maybe take the blade out to clean the pivot area or something. You might be allowed to take apart the knife, but if you had put aftermarket scales on it, you can't send it in like that to get fixed. Or if you took it apart and then put aftermarket scales on it and somehow along the line something got messed up, obviously you won't be taken care of because you took the knife apart to put aftermarket scales on it, and you're the one that messed it up, and they won't take care of you. And I'm not talking poorly about these warranties at all. I think they're very understandable in a lot of cases, and I think it helps these companies to not be spending 24 hours a day fixing people's mistakes, right? It does make sense to me. For me, I would like to be able to make a purchase and have it mine now, but still be taken care of if it needs to be taken care of, right? I do like that. Or just buy knives where you're happy with its appearance and functionality right out of the box, and then just keep it like that so that you can use it and can send it back if it needs work. That's part of the price. For me, especially with like Benchmade's and Spyderco's, the reason that we pay that premium price is partially because we're paying for future services. We're paying for warranty work and to be taken care of from here on out. It's called the butterfly tax with Benchmades. We all know that they have a great lifetime warranty, and that's part of the reason that you pay a premium price, is because as long as you listen to their rules, you can send this back in and they will take care of you for eternity, and they will sharpen the knife and disassemble it and clean it and put new springs in or whatever you need, as long as you have not abused this knife or messed around with aftermarket parts. But I just wanted to point that out because I think it's an interesting discussion, talking about why we make these purchases, why it's so addicting, why we're always chasing the next purchase, why we are always like looking for the next knife to come out or the exclusives, or why we're just never fully satisfied. It's a very interesting world we live in the knife community. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. But you know, making a rule for myself that I have to buy knives that I just like right out of the box. I have to keep them like that, and that allows me to use them even more, and I don't have to worry about it. That's a nice rule that I like to follow for myself. Obviously, I can do whatever I want to my Emerson. I have my Carta scales for it. I just have the G10 ones on here right now. But yeah, maybe just something to think about, guys. It might help you use your shit more if you figure out rules for yourself to allow you to do that. That's it for today, though, guys. I love you so much. Go use your shit. See you on the next video. Adios.